So today's Saturday's Zoom. Let's go. Why a child tunes you out? Well, let me just back up. Why a child tunes you out? Because we're two. We're two. We're two. We use too many words. We use too many adult references. We're loud. We're negative. We're punitive. We're corrective. We're self-referential. You know what that means. You're going to kill me. You're going to be the death of me. You're turning my hair gray. And we don't give a child enough respect. So giving orders. Yeah, when we think we're talking to them, more often than not, we're talking at them. We're usually giving them orders. We're telling them what to do, how to do, when to do it. Pick up your clothes, put your shoes away, brush your teeth. You know what I'm talking about. They are not taken seriously. Children do not feel that adults take them seriously. We minimize what they have done, what they have said, what they have thought, what they have felt. You can do better. Work harder and you'll do better. You don't really feel that way. You don't really hate grandma. Yeah, I hate grandma. No, you don't hate grandma. It's impossible to hate grandma. We don't take them seriously. And this is hard for an adult to do because we're the adults. We deny their feelings. How many times have you denied a child who's crying and says, I hurt myself? I said, no, you didn't hurt yourself. There's nothing there. How many times have we taken a child who says, I'm not cold. Yes, you are cold. Put your sweater on. Put your jacket on. We do not take them seriously enough. We give them such good advice. Don't we all give our children good advice? But when we're doing that, and we're all going to do it, we lose out the opportunity to let them discover what good advice they can give themselves, what good advice they could come up with. It may not be our advice, but it'll be their advice. We tell them what's wrong with what they're doing. We correct them. We give them redirections. We tell them what they did wrong. We tell them how they could have done it better, how it could have been easier, how they could have done it faster. And it doesn't work with kids. When we keep telling our kids what's wrong with what they're doing, they may give up. They may not want to try anymore. I mean, why bother if everything I try is going to be fault found with it? So we asked so many questions, right? We do it because we want them to talk to us. We do it because we want to find out what's going on in their lives. But in reality, when we ask so many questions, we're interrogating them. It's like putting them on the interrogation center, you know? What's wrong with you? How many times have I told you? When are you going to start paying attention? Okay, I'm thinking of one of you here that I'm going to remain nameless. How many times do I have to tell you? And that may go on in your mind and may not actually be telling them, but we say it all the time, either silently or aloud to our children. Why are you, and you fill in the blanks, why are you crying? Why are you angry? Why are you so mean to your sister? Why are you so lazy and can't put your things away? The whys. So many questions. Yeah, we blame them. We criticize them. We lecture them. And the lecture is nag, nag, nag. Nobody listens to lectures, especially not young children. Whose fault is it? Who started the problem? Anybody with siblings in the house knows this comment. Who started it? Why did you start it? Why did you hit your brother? Why did you yell at your sister? You should have been paying better attention. And here comes the real bad one. You're just like your fill in the blank. Father, mother, brother, aunt, uncle, grandpa. You're just like. And we stop seeing who our child really is. Oh my goodness. If you'd only do what you're told, if you'd only listen to me, you wouldn't be in these problems. You wouldn't have such problems, right? We say this to our kids. Wait a minute, there's one more. Being judged. We judge them. We judge them all the time without even realizing that we're judging them. Or you can judge them positively. Oh, that's so perfect. You do such a good job. You're so beautiful. You're so smart. Sounds good, right? Or we can judge them negatively. You never get it right. You never listen to me. Either way, whether it's positive comments or negative comments, it's judgment. It's them trying to live up to your expectations. It's them trying to be what you expect them to be. It's them not tuning into their own motivation, their own self-esteem. So being judged, I mean, just think about it. You're always walking on eggshells. Is this the right thing to do? Is it the wrong thing to do? Is it what I want to do? Is it what my mom wants me to do? Being judged doesn't matter whether you're being judged positively or negatively. Kids feel uncomfortable about it. Uncomfortable with being judged. So what can we do? There's a lot we can do. Choices and independence. We can talk about that. We're going to talk about feelings and recognition. We're going to talk about cooperation and attitudes. Okay, I know, I hear you. I hear those thoughts going on in your head. But I thought we were going to get them to listen. I thought that this workshop was going to help me get my kid to obey me and pay attention to me. You want your kids to listen, I know. You want your kids to obey you, I know. But we have to start at the beginning. We can't start halfway up the building. We have to pay attention to the foundation that we lay, because everything that follows will depend on it. We call this foundation social emotional learning. We can call it the foundation of building good relationships. We can call it whatever we want. But this is how we begin to get our kids to listen to us, to obey us, to respect us, to want to have a relationship with us, and to want to communicate with us. So we begin. We're going to begin with choices and independence, because without choices, we cannot go any further. And choices is going to be, the word choice is going to be repeated many times during this workshop. So choices. Before we talk about choices, let's talk a little bit about independence. You see it up on your screen? Yes, you see it on your screen. What do we mean by independence? What we mean by independence is autonomy. The ability for a child to do things on their own, to feel good about their ability to be successful. One of the most important jobs we have as parents is to encourage and help our children to separate from us, to become individuals who can live independent and satisfying lives to the best of their ability. And that ability is going to change for every child. But ultimately, this is what we want for our children. Children who grow up without encouragement to be independent individuals can harbor deep feelings of helplessness, of insecurity, of resentment, of frustration, and of anger. All right. So how do we help them? We let children make choices. Now we know this. If we've all read about what to do as parents. I'm not even going to say good parents, because I believe we're all good parents. We're just learning to be the kind of parent our children need us to be. And if you have more than one children, the problem is multiplied, because every child may need you to be a little different than your other child needs you to be. So we talk about letting children make choices. I said before, you are in charge. Is it really a choice? No. It is the illusion of choice. It is the illusion of choice that you have already predetermined. Two acceptable choices that are fair to the child and enforceable to you. Let's talk about being fair to the child. Is the child ever going to believe that it's fair if he or she is not getting exactly what he wants? No. So it's never or rarely going to feel fair to the child. So you have to determine, because you're the adult, you're the parent, and you are in charge. Is this fair to my child? Am I being fair to my child? Am I considering what my child's needs are? Am I considering what my child's strengths are? Am I considering the fact that we have been housebound without other people, without his friends, without routine, without his structure or her structure? Am I considering what's fair to my child? And then, whatever choice you give, is it enforceable by you? Can you enforce this choice? Because if you can't enforce it, you cannot follow through. And if you cannot follow through on a choice you have given, you're teaching your child not to listen to you, not to pay attention to you, not to respect you. So let's move on. Follow through is really important with choices. Show respect for a child's struggle. Oh, yes, children are struggling. But what you're doing is not offering a one-time fix or solution. What you're doing is helping the child develop strategies and ability that can work over many situations and over a long period of time. What you're doing is helping a child develop lifelong coping mechanisms and strategies. For example, with a young child walking up and down stairs, yeah, we could hold their hand and we could tell them, be careful, you're not going to go up and down stairs unless I'm there with you. And what does that mean? That means that we're not respecting a child's struggle. We're not respecting a child's desire and need and challenge to be autonomous and independent. But if instead we show a child how to walk up and down stairs safely, how to zipper a coat, how to wash his or her own hands, then we are giving them tools and strategies for their life. Now, some of you may have what I call the melting child. And the melting child is the one I refer to like that, the witch. And I'm not saying they're witches. I'm not saying that. I'm just using it as an analogy. The witch in The Wizard of Oz. Remember when Dorothy throws a bucket of water on the witch and the witch is melting down to nothingness. I've seen kids like that. I've seen kids. You say, come on, let's put up all your toys away. I can't. And they become a puddle on the floor. I can't. How many times do we hear, I can't? We have to reframe that. What we have to say to a child, great, because now we know what you are struggling to learn. So we're going to reframe that response of them, I can't, into something positive. That's what we are learning. That's what you're going to learn. And how are we going to help them learn it? By breaking it down into small. And depending on the child, it can be small chunks. Depending on the child, it could be teensy-weensy chunks. Depending on the child, it could be bigger chunks. Know your child. Know your child. But you've got to break down whatever you're teaching the child to be independent, whatever your child is struggling to learn in little tiny steps. And those of you that talked about homework, maybe the homework is too much for them. Maybe the homework needs to be broken down in smaller and smaller and smaller parts so they can not only succeed in, but make sense out of it. Because it's hard to, let's just say, do schoolwork if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't feel relevant. So maybe what we have to do is make it smaller, make it more relevant, and have it make sense. And by making sense, what studies show is related to a child's real life. So if you're doing a math problem, related to a child's real life. If you're doing a language problem, related to a child's real life. Make it relevant, make it personal, and the child will be more willing to do it. Show respect. Okay. What we're talking about here with showing respect and breaking it down to small parts and helping a child to succeed is based on work by Carol Dweck out of Stanford University. She uses what she calls the growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is when you tell a child, you're smart, you're beautiful. It's a fixed mindset. I'm smart, therefore I'll get it. But if this child runs into a problem, they've run out of strategies. They're smart. They're supposed to have gotten it. So we're talking about developing different strategies to develop a growth mindset. And very briefly, very simplistically, I'm taking a very complex theory by Carol Dweck, and I'm making it really, really simple. And the simple is, your child is struggling with something. You, the parent, say, yes, it's hard. Because it is hard, and it's the truth. And I would never suggest you lie to your child. Yes, it's hard. So that's the reality. And then you express wonderful faith in your child, but I know you're going to get it. And it's not empty faith. It's not an empty comment. I know you're going to get it because you're going to stick to it. You're not going to give up. You are a hard worker. You don't give up easily. And you're going to stick to this until you get it. And then we give them hope. And if you need me, I'll be here to help you. Remember, if you need me, I'll be here to help you. Because I believe you can do this. Because you're a hard worker and you fill in those positive attributes for your child. But if you want to check it out in all its complexity, go check out Carol Dweck, Dwerk, Stanford University, Growth versus Fixed Mindset. Here we go. Don't ask too many questions. Are these questions that you would ask your best friend? Are these questions that you would feel comfortable answering yourself? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you crying? You know the questions you ask your child. They differ for every child. Would you be comfortable being asked yourself? Are they boring questions? Have you said the questions before? I remember with my son, I was such an ignorant young mother. I confess it now. I would ask my son every night at dinner, did you eat enough, Jonathan? Did you have enough, Jonathan? And Jonathan got so tired of hearing me. It was like he would shudder. He would shrink when he saw these words coming, because that's an interrogation. That's an intrusive interrogation. Don't ask so many questions. Don't ask the boring, irrelevant, intrusive, repetitive questions of your child. And don't rush to answer those questions. We've got some 4-year-olds out there, right? 4-year-olds never stop asking questions. They want to know the answers to everything. They never stop talking. They never stop asking questions. Well, when you get tired of answering those questions, and I get tired real quickly. I'm very patient in many respects, but with a 4-year-old asking questions, but why? But why? But why? But how come? Give them the opportunity to show you how smart they are. Ask them, so what do you think? What do you think? Children who have never been given choices will find it hard to make a choice. Children who have never been encouraged to think independently will find it difficult. So you may have to support them. So what do you think? Do you think this? Do you think that? What do you think would happen? And then you can always go with and when you've answered the question, you know the question, you've already answered it in so many ways over so many different times. Oh, you cutie pie, you know the answer. And I would use humor right there. Instead of losing your patience, instead of getting angry, I keep going over here where your pictures are, but I know you're over here. Instead of losing your patience, use a little bit of humor. And I have one of your parents already said use humor. Great, use humor. I always tell parents the most important thing you have to have with children is a sense of humor. If you don't have a sense of humor, the most important thing you can do is develop a sense of humor for your children. So use a little humor. So what do you think? What do you think? You know the answer. I know you know the answer. And I bet if I give you 2 minutes, you can come up with a better answer than I could. Why do I do that? Because I don't have to prove to any child how smart I am. What I have to do is convince a child that they are creative and they can come up with really good responses to their own questions. And sometimes you need to pause. You need to give them a little more response time. And sometimes you need to give a little support and encouragement so they can learn how to make choices, learn how to think, learn to come up with their own solutions. Next, support them just enough, no more. Very wise woman, my mentor, when I was in training, told me once, if you find you're doing too much for a child, if it's wearing you out, if you are losing your patience, it probably means that you're not allowing the child to do enough for himself or herself, stuff that they would enjoy doing, because it requires mastery and practice and repetition, and they love that. That's how they make sense of their world. So let us support them just enough, and then let us encourage them to do things for themselves. 6, help children discover themselves. That's a good one. What do I mean by that? Help them discover and experience achievement and recognition based on their own merit and their own abilities. Who are they? How do we let them know who they are? Well, I feel like an endless record, one that's on repeat, or a tape that keeps going in an endless loop. You got to know your child. You have to know who your child is, so you can tell your child, this is who you are. You are such a hard worker. You are a self-starter. You're so curious. You are so energetic. Got the kid who's running around all day? running around, the child that's running around. You are so energetic. You have so much energy. You are persistent. This is for the willful child. You are persistent. You are optimistic. You are daring, creative, original, hard worker, whatever we want to call them. Let them discover their own positive attributes by you telling them. Now, why is this important? It's important because what you tell them gets into their brain. How many of us right now, right here in this moment, can hear our parents repeating things to us, telling us who we are, that we're lazy, or that we're a hard worker, or that we're kind, or that we're mean? These words reverberate in our memories. Let's give our children the words that will serve them well, those positive attributes of who they are. Usually we end up giving them the negative attributes. Balance it. Give them a sense that they are good human beings, that they are positive human beings. Let's get those positive attributes out there. I've got to take my sip because I'm losing my voice. What's next? What's next are feelings and recognition. In general, a child that feels right, a child that feels good about himself or herself, who feels competent, respected, valued, who feels that they matter, that their feelings matter, that their thoughts matter, that their opinions matter, that their dreams matter, that their ideas matter. This child is far, far more likely to behave right. So how do we help them feel right? We respect and accept their feelings. Usually what we do is deny them. We talked about that briefly in the beginning. We deny, we minimize, we say you don't really feel that way, it's not nice to feel that way, you're not a mean kid, you don't feel mean, you're not angry, there's nothing to feel angry about. We go on and on and on. We're denying and minimizing the fears. What would happen if we respected them and accepted their feelings? If we allowed the child to behaviorally manifest what they're feeling and then give it a name. Oh, look at you. You look angry. Label it. Angry. Acknowledge it. Well, and generalize. Boy, everybody feels angry sometimes. Everybody. And then accept it. And those feelings usually go away after a while. But you're angry right now. And I can see that you're angry. Do you want to talk about it? Depending on the age of the child, depending on the maturity of the child. I think maybe, I'm talking to the young child now, listen to me. I think maybe you're angry because your sister doesn't want to share her toy with you, or with an older child, a 10-year-old or older. I think you're angry because I told you couldn't watch that show on television. So it depends. But if you have an idea of why your child is feeling, or sad, your child is crying, let's not ask them why they're crying. Let's not ask them why they're angry. Let's instead try to intuit what's going on with our child. Remember what I said before? Know your child. Now, accepting a feeling, acknowledging a feeling, does not mean we're agreeing with the feeling. We're just accepting the fact that your child feels this way right now. And it could be a feeling that you have a hard time with. I mean, a lot of parents have a hard time when their kid is angry and having a tantrum, and they feel threatened by it. I'm not saying this is going on with you, but a lot of people do. We're not agreeing with it. We're making a mental note. We're going to revisit this anger issue about my kid hating my mother. We're going to revisit some other time, and we're going to explore it. We're going to find out what's going on. But this might not be the best time. So we're starting with respecting and accepting their feelings. And yes, I know you want to get them to listen. This is how we start. This is the foundation. This is the foundation of the relationship that will enable them to respect you and respect themselves enough to listen to you. Not just now, but when they're teenagers as well. Share your own feelings appropriately. The key word here is appropriately. You don't want to tell them every single thing you're feeling. You want to help the child learn about feelings, about you, about how you're feeling, to give the child permission to have their own feelings. Remember, you're modeling always for your child. Do you ever feel angry? Yes, yes, I know. We all feel anger. And do you ever tell your child, when your child says to you, because they're so intuitive, Mommy, Daddy, Grandma, why are you angry? And you respond, I'm not angry. I feel fine. And the child is knowing that you're angry. So what's wrong with saying, yes, I'm feeling very angry today? Um, I know, but anger, we all feel angry sometimes. And I know I'll feel better. I usually feel better when I count to 10. I feel better when I have a glass of cold water. I usually feel better when I sit down and relax a little bit. Share your strategies for what you do when you feel angry. Don't deny that you're feeling angry, because you're lying to your kid, and your kid knows it, and your kid is going to doubt you, and your kid is going to test behaviorally how to make you angry to make sure that he or she's got it right. Be honest and share your feelings appropriately. Offer a chance for a child to make a choice. Again, I told you I'm going to say that word again throughout this presentation. Choices. Children need to learn how to make valid choices, and it's your job to help them learn. Give a child a chance to solve a problem. We used to just rush in, right? We rush in because we know better. We rush in to solve a child's problems, to tell them what they're doing wrong, to tell them how to make it right. How often do we give a child the respect and the time and the encouragement and maybe even the strategies to solve their own problem, to come up with their own solution, which may not be your solution, but it can be an acceptable solution for a child and for you. So let's remember this thing about dealing with feelings and recognition, giving a child a sense that you recognize him or her, that you recognize what they are going through. Give your child a chance to solve their own problems. You're not ignoring it. You're not leaving them to just flounder. You're there to support. You're there to encourage. You're there to give strategies. But don't take credit for the problem solving. Don't take credit for it. Give your child credit where it is due. Now, normally I would say, are there any questions? But if you have any questions, put them in the chat. These are not easy concepts. And I'd love to deal with them in your specific situations. I'll do that at the end. Let's do praise the process and the effort. But I always say children need praise. They need the recognition. They need to know when they've done a job well. They need to know when they have succeeded, when they have mastered something. But let's be careful. Let's be mindful of how we praise them. Let the praise be honest. Let it be personal. Let it be relevant. Let it be without comparison. It has nothing to do with the other kids. Has nothing to do with anything they've done previously. Let it be specific. Use details, specific details. Not, oh, I see that you picked up your toys, but rather, wow, you picked up all of the toys here. You picked up the Legos, you picked up the dolls, you picked up the puzzles, you picked up everything, and you put it away. You put the puzzles on the shelf, you put the Legos in the box. Be specific. Because when you are specific, the more specific you are, the more the child feels recognized. When you just give it what we call that globalization, that global praise, that can apply to anyone, you're not really setting your child apart. You're not really praising your child. You're praising children. Now, I always say, when I do a workshop, I know children. I've got degrees that prove that I know children. I've got the experience that proves that I know children. But I do not know your child as well as you know your child. So I can tell you the generalizations about children, but you need to apply them to your specific child because he or she is your child. And you have worked all these years getting to know your child. So I give you credit. You know your child better than I know your child. But let's take these general concepts and apply them to your child. What else? We all say the good job, right? We all say good job, good job, good job, good job. Why do we say it? Why do we say it? What do we hope to accomplish by it? What we hope to accomplish is all this stuff that I'm saying. But unless you can be specific and personal and relate it to something the child has done, an effort that the child has made, not necessarily the end product, but how the child worked towards that product. Good job. You worked so hard on this. You worked so long on this. You didn't give up till you put every single toy away. Good job. Then it's significant to a child. It means something to a child. All right, next one. Recognize the child's accomplishments more than your feelings. Now, I know that you say this. I know that we all say this. We say, I'm so proud of you, right? And we are. And we have to share that with our child. But let's look at, these are young children. Let's just stop for a minute and think about how the child responds to this, what this does to the child. Because what it really means is it's shifting the emphasis from what a good job they did to how your feelings are relating to what they did. So it shifts the emphasis from their achievements to your feelings about their achievements. We want to do that. We want to let our children know that we're proud of them. There's nothing wrong with that. But we need to balance it with acknowledgement of how hard they work, with acknowledgement of their own achievements, so that they can recognize their own achievement and not always look for someone on the outside to value them, for some external motivator. We want them to be self-motivated. So we want to balance how proud we are and our feelings with how they're feeling and what they have accomplished on their own. Again, we go back to what I said before about embedding that positive language. This is where we start embedding the language of self-esteem, of self-confidence, of self-reliance in a child. Okay, so what is next? Next is attitude. Okay, we're going to go fast. We're running out of time. Your attitude, ladies and gentlemen. It's not your child's attitude. We know the kids have an attitude. I can visualize the eye rolling, the feet stamping, the walking out, the attitudes that they give you. We're not talking about their attitude. We're talking about your attitude. Because your attitude can be more important than the words you say. Your attitude, because a child is reading those nonverbal signals you're giving them. Your child is reading how you're communicating. Your attitude, if it's given without compassion, without sincerity, it can sound phony. It can sound manipulative. It can sound insincere. And that leads a child to ignore you. So think about your attitude. Now, the next one I'm going to go up, I wish it would come up real slow. Because what I'm saying is we have to allow a child's words to touch our hearts. Usually a child's words touch our minds. We think about them. It's more difficult to allow a child's words to touch our hearts so that we can empathize with how a child is feeling or thinking or what a child is experiencing. And it's only when we can allow this to happen that we can truly speak directly to their hearts with honesty, with compassion, with kindness, with authentic caring and empathy. And this little thing, the way you respond to your child's words, can have the greatest impact on how your child responds to your words. Why won't they cooperate? Oh, there's a long list here. I'm just going to go through the list quickly. Blaming them. So who started the argument? Whose fault is it? You didn't pay attention. If you'd only listen more. Labeling, you're just being so stubborn. You're just being so willful. You're just being so shy. Okay, that's all labeling. We're giving threats. You know the threat I'm talking about. I'm never taking you to the store again. You know it's not true. I'm never taking you to the park. We're never having a play date. We threaten children. We order children. We lecture children. This is not conducive to their cooperating with us. We make it all about you. It's self-referential. You're driving me crazy. See these gray hairs? They're yours. You put them there. We say things we don't really mean. We talk out of our emotions. We talk out of our unrestricted, uncensored feelings. We make comparison. Why are you doing that? Why aren't you listening to me? Your sister always listened. We use sarcasm. Well, my friends, sarcasm works for adults, maybe, but it's hurtful for children. They don't really get it. And when they seem to get it, they're not getting it. They're hurt by it. And they've developed ways of letting you think that they have gotten it. So, what else? A different approach. A different approach. I missed something. So we're going to do a different approach. I think I missed a page. So we're going to different approach. Everything that we just spoke about is a different approach that we're going to be working on. Describing. This is a different approach. Describe. I have worked literally with thousands of children and families. And I very rarely, if ever, tell a child what to do. What I do is I describe the situation. Hey guys, look at the rug. It's filled with your toys. You got puzzles here, you got books here, and you have your Legos over here. I describe what I see. I give information. You know, the Legos go, this box over here is where the Legos go, and this shelf over here is where the puzzles go. And depending on the child, and I know what the child can do, I said, you guys know that. You are teasing me because I know you know the humor. I'm using the little word. You guys know that. You can do that. You don't need any help. Limit your words. This is where we nag. This is where we say things like, if you don't pick up your toys within the next 5 minutes, I'm not letting you watch any television. You're not having any screen time. You know better than to leave all your toys. Blah, 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 blah. The kids stopped listening to you. Do you understand that? The kids stopped hearing you. So limit your words. Let your words matter. Let them be important. Maybe just one word. Guys, toys, a mess. You know what to do. And move away. But sometimes with children, it's key to leave the situation and leave them on their own, or else they're going to misbehave because of you, because of your attention. So limit your word. Practice that. Talk about your feelings. You know, guys, when I see all these toys all over the place, it makes me feel angry. It makes me feel upset. It makes me feel that you guys just don't care. Those are my feelings. Those are appropriate sharings of my feelings with my kids. There's a little guilt thrown in there. I'm not going to talk about the little guilt that's thrown in there with them. And write a note. Even if your child can't read it, you write a note anyway. You put it up. You put a humorous note up. Kid, that you have to remind every day, brush your teeth. Did you brush your teeth? Brush your teeth, brush your teeth. And it's nagging. The kid is not hearing you anymore. Put that note in your best, big, large printing. Hello, I'm your toothbrush, and I can't wait to brush your teeth today. And you read it to the child. You read it maybe once. You read it maybe twice. And then the child looks at it, and they understand what it says. And they smile. And they say, okay, toothbrush, I'm gonna put some toothpaste on you today, and I'm going to brush my teeth. Whatever. But you do it with a little bit of humor. Okay, so we go to, finally, you want the secret now, finally. Well, I've got the good news and the bad news. It is not about getting a child to obey you. It is not about feeling ignored or disrespected by a child who wants to have their own way, who needs to have some sense of autonomy and empowerment so that he can develop or she can develop into the person they're meant to be. It is about teaching a child a new way of communicating that they can use for the rest of their lives with you, with their friends, their colleagues, their mates, and one day with children of their own. It starts with you. Yes, it's a heavy responsibility. And it starts now. Now you are the parent. You are the person in charge. And in a parent-child relationship, it always starts with the parent. It starts with you. You cannot honestly expect a child to do something that you have not modeled and initiated in advance. Children are always watching you and listening to you and imitating you and all the other significant adults around them. Your influence on your child cannot be overestimated, cannot be overstated. It is the most important thing for your child. And your mindfulness, your intentionality when interacting with your child has big payoffs, positive as well as negative, if you're not doing it. If your child is yelling or hitting or ignoring you, be mindful, be intentional. How many times do you yell? Ignore your child, because that's what your child may be imitating. If you're being kind and generous and listening to your child, and your child is doing the same to you, it's because you modeled it, because you taught your child. Children are little sponges. They soak up everything they see, hear, listen to, watch, think about. And it's all based on you, particularly now that we're homebound. You have become even more significant in their lives. We have to look to ourselves to see if we are part of the equation that we are trying to change. We have to look to our own responsibility in this equation, with our children not listening, with our children not paying attention. We have to look to our own responsibility. Are we modeling for them what we want to see in them, in their relationship for us? And the payoff will be kids that behave better and are more likely to listen to what you're saying. I'm saying more likely. There are no promises. It is a learning process. It is a learning process that gets better over time. It is a learning process for you as well as for your child. So thank you for joining our Saturday Zoom session. Hope you can join us next week